You again? The doctor's voice slices through the sterile air like a cold scalpel. You're bent forward on the metal cot, hand pressed to your chest, breathing shallow, sweat pooling at your temples. The fluorescent light above buzzes like it's laughing with him. Didn't I tell you last week this ain't a hospital for drama queens? You don't answer. You can't. The pain is sharp, pulsing, like someone's gripping your ribs from the inside. The guard by the door chuckles, shifting his weight, the radio on his belt spitting static. The smell of bleach burns your throat. Hey, Doc, the guard mutters. Maybe he's faking it for a little vacation. The doctor smirks. If I had $1 for every heart attack that turned out to be heartburn, he doesn't finish. His latex gloves snap as he peels them off and tosses them in the bin. The motion is lazy, deliberate, like a man who's been obeyed his whole life. You try to form words, but only air escapes. Your vision tunnels. Somewhere down the hall, someone laughs. The kind of laugh that doesn't belong near sick people. Then a noise. A quiet beep. The heart monitor you're attached to, an old yellowed screen with a sticky note reading "out of order," flickers to life. The line jumps once, twice. The doctor's head snaps toward it. That thing's not supposed to be... He steps closer. The beeping grows steady, urgent. A second monitor on the other bed lights up too, though no one's lying there. For a moment, it looks like the machine itself is panicking for you. You look up at him, forcing out one word. Help. He sighs, pinching the bridge of his nose. All right, fine. He motions to the guard. Put him in holding. I'll sign him for transfer after count. The guard hesitates. But his pulse... Do it, the doctor snaps. The authority in his tone ends the debate. The guard grips your arm, pulling you upright. Every step toward the door feels heavier, slower. As you're dragged out, your shoulder bumps the wall. A narrow, white strip of plastic you've passed 100 times. Only now you notice the tiny red light buried inside it. A camera, hidden in plain sight. You glance toward it just for a second. It stares back like a witness no one remembers. Eyes forward, the guard barks. But the doctor's watching you differently now. There's something flickering behind his practiced irritation. Recognition, maybe. Like he's seen you somewhere he shouldn't have. Wait, he mutters, almost to himself. What's your name again? You swallow hard, words scraping your throat. Aaron, he repeats it under his breath. Aaron what? You hesitate. Because even you're not sure which last name will matter in this place. Before you can answer, an alarm hums faintly from his tablet. He frowns and taps the screen. Something flashes, a system prompt you barely catch before it vanishes. Biometric scan pending. Incomplete data. He stiffens. Looks at you again. Who processed you in intake? You blink. I don't know. I was barely conscious. His expression hardens, like he just realized he said too much. Forget it. The guard pulls you away. The door slams. The sound echoes through the concrete corridor long after you're gone. For a moment, the infirmary is silent, except for that one monitor still blinking on the empty bed. Beep, beep, beep. The doctor stands alone, staring at the light until it steadies into a flat, endless tone. He exhales, but the calm doesn't reach his eyes, because somewhere in his gut, he knows that name, Aaron, doesn't belong in any inmate file he's ever seen. People still argue whether guilt or curiosity comes first in men like him. But in that moment, one thing is certain. The doctor's hands are shaking, and he's not sure why. Outside, a storm rolls in, thunder shuddering against the bars. And in the shadows of the corridor camera, a faint red light keeps recording, unblinking, patient, alive. The night hums low and restless inside the prison, a sound like metal breathing. You lie on the lower bunk, eyes fixed on the cracked ceiling where a water stain blooms in the shape of a heart. Irony, maybe. Your chest still aches, but the pain has settled into something quieter, more patient. Across the block, someone's shouting about a card game gone wrong. Laughter follows, too sharp to be friendly. Somewhere above, a guard's boots tap their rhythm against the grated walkway. Still alive, Miracle Boy? It's Finch, the cellmate they call the pastor, though no one's sure if he ever actually was one. He leans forward on his bunk, grinning through the gloom. You don't answer. Words are heavy tonight. He snorts. Doc Harden don't care who croaks, you know that. You could be gasping blood, he'd still call it a tummy ache. You turn to the wall, tracing the faint groove where someone once carved a name, D. Miles. 2012. You wonder if he made it out. Finch keeps talking. They say that doctors got friends on the outside, real powerful ones. That's why nobody touches him. He lowers his voice. But you got under his skin, huh? You blink, remembering how Harden froze when the machine beeped. The way he whispered your name like he'd heard it somewhere important. Maybe he had. At breakfast the next day, the doctor's voice drifts down the hall before you even see him. He's laughing with a guard, tone smooth, rehearsed. But when his gaze slides across the cafeteria and locks on you, the laugh dies. Just a flicker. A half second. You see it. So does Finch. Man looks like he saw a ghost. Finch mutters, smirking. What you hiding, Aaron? You shake your head. Nothing worth finding. Still, the unease sticks to you like sweat. When the bell rings for lineup, you catch Harden speaking to another guard near the exit. You can't hear everything, just fragments. Intake photos. Doesn't match. Run it again. They notice you looking. The guard's face hardens. Move it. That night, the pain comes back worse. Hot, crushing, spreading into your jaw. You press the call button. 10 minutes pass. Then 20. Nothing. You slam the button again, over and over until the light burns red. Finally, footsteps. But it's not Harden, it's the nurse. A woman in her 50s. Tired eyes, name tag that reads Marla. She sighs when she sees you. Chest again? You nod, barely breathing. She kneels beside you, checking your pulse. Her hands are firm, gentle. They keep saying it's anxiety. You don't look anxious to me. You manage a weak smile. Guess I'm just dramatic. She almost smiles back, then glances toward the hallway. I'll see what I can do, but Harden signs all the meds. She stops, voice dropping. He's in his office now, with the warden. You catch the glint of something silver on her lanyard. A key card. When she leaves, she forgets it on your bedside tray. Or maybe she doesn't forget. Outside, you hear the rain. Inside, the silence grows thick enough to taste. You pick up the key card. The infirmary corridor is darker than you remember, lights dimmed to save power. You move slow, every step a gamble. Harden's office door is half closed, light spilling through the crack. You hear him talking. Not to the warden, to someone on speakerphone. I told you, I don't know how he ended up here. He was processed through standard intake like everyone else. A pause. Then a man's voice replies, cold and clipped. That's impossible. He's supposed to be dead. You freeze. The chair creaks as Harden leans forward. Listen, I can make this disappear. But you need to confirm? Did you ever release his records? Of course not, the voice says. The family paid for silence. If this leaks, we all go down. Footsteps. Harden's shadow moves toward the door. You step back, almost tripping over the mop bucket left in the hall. The door opens, just an inch. Harden peers out, eyes narrow. The fluorescent light catches the sweat on his brow. Nothing moves for 3 long seconds. Then, from somewhere deep in the prison, an alarm wails, sharp, shrieking, echoing off every surface. You flinch. Harden curses. He slams the door shut and disappears inside. The noise fades, replaced by muffled announcements. Section D lockdown. Repeat, Section D lockdown. You stand there in the half-dark, the keycard heavy in your palm. You should go back. But something on the desk catches your eye through the office window. A folder with a red sticker. Confidential. Case 14278. For one heartbeat, your chest pain vanishes. You whisper to yourself, Case 14278, you memorize it. Because you've learned something in places like this. Memory is the only freedom they can't confiscate. As you slip back to your cell, Finch raises an eyebrow. Went sightseeing, huh? You lie down, pretending not to hear him. The rain's louder now, hammering the windows like fists. But the thought won't leave you. He's supposed to be dead. And somewhere, beyond these walls, a rich family might still believe you are. The next morning tastes like rust. The whole prison smells of disinfectant and boiled eggs, but underneath it, fear. You can feel it pulsing through the halls. Guards whisper more than they talk, and Hardin's usual swagger is gone, replaced by a clipped urgency you can spot even across the cafeteria. Finch notices, too. Man walks like he's hiding a ghost in his pocket, he mutters, stabbing at his oatmeal. You keep your head down. But when Hardin passes, his hand lingers over his tablet, just long enough for you to catch a flicker of the screen. A file name. Case 14278. You look up, but he's already moved on. After breakfast, you're sent to laundry duty. The hum of the machines drowns out conversation, which makes it a perfect place to listen. Two nurses stand near the supply room, arguing softly. I told him the records were tampered, one says. The intake photo's corrupted. Half the file's missing. Then why's he saying it's a system glitch? The first one lowers her voice. Because if he admits otherwise, it means someone changed the medical history. Maybe deleted it. You lean closer, pretending to sort sheets. Look, the second nurse sighs. Hardin's been under pressure since that donor thing. You think it's a coincidence the warden got a private grant last year? The conversation dies as Hardin himself strides in. You turn your back quickly, heart pounding. But his reflection stares at you from the dryer's chrome panel. He's holding a clipboard, and for a fraction of a second you see your own name written at the top. He exits. The door swings closed. You drop the folded sheet and step toward the dryer, catching sight of a small security vent behind it, one of those narrow steel grates that leads to the infirmary corridor. You press your ear against it. Nothing but static hum from the other side. Then a low voice. Hardin again. If he dies in here, it's over. No autopsy, no record. Just a body. Your stomach turns to ice. He's talking about you. You back away, breath shallow. Finch's words echo in your head. He's got friends on the outside. That night, you can't sleep. The fluorescent light buzzes through the bars, painting thin white stripes across the floor. You replay the nurse's whispers, the folder, the words, supposed to be dead. You need proof, something more than paranoia. The next morning, you ask Marla, the nurse, to check your blood pressure again. When she leans close, you whisper, "You saw my file. What's in it?" She stiffens. "I don't know what you're talking about." "You do," you insist. "Please," she hesitates, then sighs. "I shouldn't say this, but..." Your intake form lists 2 different birth dates. And the fingerprint section, it's blank. That never happens. Your pulse spikes. "Blank?" She nods. "Hardin told me not to enter anything. Said the scanner malfunctioned." You let out a quiet laugh, humorless. "Convenient malfunction." She studies you for a long moment. "Who are you, really?" You want to answer, but even you aren't sure anymore. Later that day, while changing sheets in the infirmary, you slip behind the counter and find the clipboard Hardin was using. Most of the names are smudged with fingerprints, except one, yours, written neatly in black ink. Next to it, under condition, is a single word, pending. You flip the page. Behind it, there's another name scrawled hastily in pencil, J. Kellen. The handwriting's rushed, but the surname rings like a bell in your memory. You've heard it before in news broadcasts playing in the rec room years ago. Kellen Industries. Billionaire shipping magnate. Son missing after car explosion. Your chest tightens, not from pain this time, but recognition. You scan the clipboard for more clues, and your eyes catch a small sticker at the bottom. "Do not digitize. Paper copy only." That's when it hits you. Hardin isn't just negligent. He's covering up an identity, yours. Before you can think further, footsteps echo behind you. You spin around. Hardin stands there, expression unreadable. "Find something interesting." Your mouth goes dry. "Just sheets." He steps closer. "Funny, most inmates don't tidy up the confidential files." You back away slowly. "Wasn't looking." "Oh, I think you were." He glances at the clipboard, then at you. "You're curious, Aaron. I like that." But curiosity's dangerous here. He grabs the clipboard and slides it into his desk drawer, locking it with a small silver key, then softly, "You ever wonder why some people get second chances and others don't?" You stare at him. Every day, he smiles, but it's brittle. Then stop wondering. Some truths will kill you faster than that little heart of yours. He walks out, leaving the room colder than before. You stand there, fists clenched. Your reflection in the metal cabinet looks back. The same face you've seen in fragments. News clippings, nightmares. But tonight, that reflection whispers something new. Find out who Jay Kellen is. People still argue whether identity is what you're born with or what the world forces you to become. For now, all you know is that a name you don't remember might be the only thing keeping you alive, and somewhere in the locked drawer behind you lies the proof. You're 10 years younger, barefoot in the rain. Tires screech, glass shatters. A man's voice yells your name, "Jason!" before the world goes white. The memory ends there, like a reel burned halfway through the film. You wake up gasping, the bunk rattling beneath you, Finch shaking your shoulder. Hey, easy, he says. Night terrors again? You wipe sweat from your forehead. I saw something, a car. An explosion. Finch squints. You talking about that crash on TV last night? The billionaire's son? Your breath stalls. What? They played some old anniversary thing in the rec room. 10 years since the Kellen kid disappeared. Fancy car went up like fireworks. Finch yawns. Crazy how rich folks get whole documentaries. We vanish every day. Nobody airs that. Your pulse drums in your ears. Kellen, the name from the clipboard. The whisper in your dream. You swing your legs off the bunk. The floor is cold. What if... You start, then stop. How do you tell a man you might be the ghost of someone who shouldn't exist? Finch eyes you. What if what? Nothing, but it isn't nothing. It's a fracture opening wide. Two lives colliding, one forgotten, one imprisoned. Later that morning, the warden makes a rare appearance in the infirmary. His tone is falsely cheerful, like a politician shaking hands before an election. Dr. Hardin tells me you've been having episodes, he says, smiling without warmth. We'll be transferring you for evaluation soon. Transfer? You repeat. He nods. Private facility upstate. Better care. You catch the way Hardin's eyes flick to the warden's just for half a second. Not better care, better control. After they leave, Marla slips you a folded napkin from her pocket. Inside is a torn corner of a photo, half of a young man's face. The eyes are yours. I found this in the storage room behind some old patient files, she whispers. You didn't hear it from me. Your fingers tremble. Who is he? File said Jay Kellen. The room tilts slightly. It's like staring at a ghost and realizing the ghost is you. That night, the dream returns. Longer this time. You're in a black Aston Martin, laughter echoing from the passenger seat. City lights flicker on wet asphalt. The girl beside you, her hair, red like sunset, says, Your dad's gonna kill you if he finds out. You grin. Then we won't let him find out. The radio hums low. Then, a flash of headlights, screech, impact. You wake before the explosion this time, breath caught in your throat. Finch watches you quietly. You talk in your sleep, he says. What did I say? Get her out, over and over. The ache in your chest flares again, sharper now, as if memory itself is pushing through bone. By midday, the whispers start. Prison gossip travels faster than light. Someone says the FBI database pinged last night. Someone else swears a government van parked outside before dawn. Hardin's office stays locked. Even Marla won't go near it. During inspection, you notice something strange. A small ink mark on the back of Hardin's hand. A pattern of 3 dots forming a triangle. You've seen it before, burned faintly into the corner of that photo. That night, while Finch distracts a guard with a fake chess argument, you slip into the infirmary again. The lock gives way easier this time. The folder's gone, but the desk drawer is slightly open. Inside, a USB drive and a burnt piece of metal, the corner of a license plate. You wipe the ash away. JL278, your heart stutters. The same number from the file, case 14278. The screen of Hardin's tablet lights up automatically when you move the mouse. A hidden folder opens itself like a trap door. Accident report, subject Jay Kellen, status, presumed deceased. Cause, vehicle fire following explosion. No remains recovered. Official statement filed by Dr. Leonard Hardin. You read it twice before it lands. The doctor who ignores your pain is the same man who declared you dead. Footsteps echo. You slam the drawer shut, but Hardin's already at the door, flashlight slicing the dark. Well, he says, stepping inside. Guess curiosity is terminal. He doesn't shout, doesn't rush. He just closes the door. the lock clicking like a gun being cocked. "Who are you really, Aaron?" he asks, voice soft, almost pitying. You swallow hard. "Guess I was hoping you'd tell me." He exhales through his nose. "You don't understand how much money people paid to make sure you disappeared." He takes a step closer. You back into the desk. The edge bites your spine. "You could have stayed a ghost," he says. "But ghosts don't bleed, do they?" Before he can move again, the intercom crackles. "Dr. Hardin, report to the East Gate, urgent," he curses under his breath. "Stay here," he storms out. You don't. You grab the USB and shove it into your jumpsuit pocket. Because whatever's on it, truth or lie, it's the first solid proof you've had that you didn't just end up here by accident, and as the siren wails in the distance, you realize someone out there still remembers you. People still argue whether memory is mercy or punishment. Tonight it feels like both. Morning comes with tension thick as smoke. The prison feels off. Too quiet, too orderly, like a stage before curtain rise. Guards whisper by the metal detectors. Finch is gone from his bunk. You sit on the edge of yours, thumb pressed against the tiny bulge of the USB in your pocket. Every sound feels amplified. Footsteps in the hall, the buzz of the fluorescents, the heavy clank of a door somewhere you can't see. Then, "Inmate 4271. Report to the infirmary. That's you. You hesitate. Then walk, each step echoing down the sterile corridor. Inside, Hardin is waiting, alone. He doesn't speak at first, just watches you, eyes cold behind the reflection of the overhead light. Then he gestures toward the metal chair opposite his desk. "Sit." You stay standing. He sighs, steepling his fingers. "You've been snooping." "I don't need to ask how I know, and you're not as clever as you think." You say nothing, he continues, voice calm, too calm. "Let's skip the performance. You saw the name, the file, and now you've convinced yourself you're someone you're not." He slides a folder across the desk, your mugshot clipped to the front, but with a new label stamped in red, "Transfer approved, 0600 hours. Where am I going?" Hardin's smile doesn't reach his eyes. "A facility that handles special cases. Let's just say your paperwork has finally caught up with your fantasy." You glance at the corner of the file. 3 dots. Same triangle mark again. "You think I'm imagining this?" you say. Hardin leans forward, dropping the facade for the first time. "I think you don't realize how expensive secrets like yours can be." He lowers his voice. "You weren't supposed to survive that crash. But you did. Someone paid to make that problem go away. My job was to keep it gone." Your jaw tightens. "Who?" "Ask the man who called me this morning." He opens his desk drawer, showing a burner phone still glowing with a missed call notification. Unknown number, 5:17 a.m. Before you can reply, Marla bursts in, pale, breathless. "Doctor, they're asking for you at the gate again." "The van's early," Hardin scowls. "Tell them to wait." "They said now, sir." You catch her glance, subtle, deliberate, to your left. The security drawer. When Hardin turns his back to grab his coat, you move. The drawer slides open just enough for your fingers to snatch what's inside, a thin envelope heavy with something metallic. He turns just as you tuck it under your jumpsuit. "Stay put," he orders. "You'll be leaving sooner than you think." He storms out with Marla trailing behind. The second the door clicks, you open the envelope. Inside, a flash drive identical to the one you found, and a folded page with one line handwritten in blue ink. You weren't the only survivor. A chill runs through you. You rush to the corner computer, boot it up, and slot the drive. A video file appears. Cam 14, fire extract, move static. Then, dash cam footage. The crash from another angle. The car spinning, flames bursting. The passenger door opens. A woman stumbles out, coughing. The driver, you, slumped over the wheel. She looks back once before running into the dark. Pause. Zoom. Her face. Unmistakable. Marla. The room tilts. The same nurse who risked her job to help you was the same woman in that car 10 years ago. And now, she's lured Hardin to the gate. Not to help you, but to finish what they started. The siren blares again. Louder. Closer this time. You pocket the drives. Bolt for the side exit. Outside, the dawn light cuts through fog. A van idles by the gate, engine humming. You spot Hardin near the fence, arguing with a man in a black suit. Marla stands a few paces away, face unreadable. The suited man lowers his sunglasses. "Where is he?" Hardin gestures toward the building. "Inside. Sedated." You whisper to yourself, "Not today." As you back away, your foot hits gravel. Too loud. Marla's head turns sharply toward you. Your eyes meet for a fraction of a second, and her expression changes. Not guilt, recognition. She mouths something across the distance. You can't hear it, but you can read her lips. "You're not supposed to be here." The guards start moving. You run. Behind you, a gunshot cracks the morning. The story is no longer about a prisoner with chest pain. It's about a man who wasn't supposed to exist, chasing the truth that keeps trying to erase him. And somewhere between the sirens and the rising sun, you finally understand. This isn't just survival. It's revenge wrapped in memory. You're sprinting across the courtyard now, breath ragged, chains clinking like broken percussion. Guards shout behind you, their radios crackling with clipped orders. "Lockdown C-Wing! Subject 4271 is on the move." The sirens rise into an unholy pitch, echoing off the concrete walls like a swarm of mechanical wasps. You dart behind a service truck, chest burning, and press your back against the cold metal. From here you can see them, Hardin barking into his phone, the man in the black suit scanning the yard. Marla stands still, her face unreadable again, but her eyes, they flick toward you. Once, then down, subtle, as if telling you wait. The guards spread out. You close your eyes, count 5 slow breaths, then slip toward the maintenance tunnel door at the far edge of the fence. It's locked, but the card reader blinks green for a split second, then unlocks. You glance back. Marla's gone from her spot, your pulse hammers. You pull the door open and disappear inside. The tunnel is a narrow artery of dripping pipes and flickering light. You move fast, ducking under low beams, clutching both USB drives like lifelines. Every sound feels magnified. Your heartbeat, the drip, drip, drip of condensation. The faint echo of boots behind you, then your name. Softly, Caleb, you freeze. Marla steps out from the shadows. Holding a syringe in one hand and your prison ID in the other, she's shaking. "You shouldn't have seen that footage," she says quietly. "Then why help me?" "Because I didn't know who you were. Not until now." Her voice breaks. "You were supposed to die in that crash." "But I couldn't go through with it. I saved you." Hardin didn't know. "Nobody did. They thought you burned." She lowers the syringe slightly. "They found out last week. The fingerprint scan. It flagged the system." You stare at her. "Flagged for what?" She steps closer, eyes glassy. "For your DNA match." "What match?" She swallows hard. "You're not just anyone, Caleb. You're Alexander Price, heir to the Price Foundation. Your father built half the city's biotech empire. You disappeared after a car explosion on I-90 10 years ago. Your fingerprints. They just hit every FBI and Interpol server in the country. The words hang in the damp air. You laugh once, hollow. A billionaire's son rotting in state prison. Cute story. She looks you dead in the eye. Not cute, convenient. The air feels charged now, every syllable sharp enough to cut. "You mean they knew?" You ask. "They knew who I was?" Marla nods slowly. "Hardin was paid to erase your file, to keep you medicated, out of the system. You were his retirement plan. When the warden transferred you, he panicked. That's why the man outside is here, to make sure you don't leave this building alive." You step closer, voice low. "Who's behind it?" She hesitates, then whispers, "Your brother." The ground might as well fall out from beneath you. "Michael Price," she continues. "He took over the foundation after the crash. Everyone assumed you were dead. The board needed a clean name. He gave it to them. You blink, trying to process the swirl of betrayal. So he's the one who," she nods, "hired me, hired Hardin. It was supposed to be simple, sedate, bury, forget." For a moment, neither of you speaks. The sound of approaching boots grows louder, guards sweeping the corridor. Marla pockets the syringe. "You need to go. Now, you step back." "You're coming with me." Her expression twists, half grief, half guilt. "If I do, they'll kill us both." If I stay, I can buy you time. She presses something into your hand. A small vial of blood labeled Patient A, Price Proof, she whispers. That's your sample. The only uncorrupted one left, Marla, but she pushes you toward the far hatch. Run, Alexander. Don't waste the second chance I gave you the first time. The metal door clangs shut behind you as she turns back toward the shouts. You run again, through the maintenance exit, up into the blinding sunlight of the yard. The alarms wail harder now, but another sound pierces through, the distant whine of helicopters. You look up. Black lettering flashes across one of the choppers. FBIA voice booms through a megaphone. All units stand down. Medical division under federal investigation. You stop, chest heaving. Guards freeze mid-step. The black-suited man curses, pulls out his phone. Too late. Federal agents flood the yard, weapons drawn. Hardin raises his hands, shouting something about confidential programs and government contracts. The scene collapses into chaos, and you stand there, invisible amid the noise. The sunlight hits the vial in your palm, and for the first time, you see the reflection of your face in it. Not a number, not an inmate, but the man everyone tried to erase. Somewhere behind you, a gunshot rings out. One, then silence. Marla's scream follows, faint and distant. You don't look back. You can't, because if the FBI is here, that means one thing. They already know who you are, and somewhere out there, your brother just realized you're still alive. The story that began with chest pain is about to explode into open war, not just for truth, but for identity itself. By the time the handcuffs come off, the air outside tastes different. Crisp, electric, like the moment before a storm breaks. You're standing beside a convoy of federal vehicles, wrists raw, hospital gown swapped for a plain gray hoodie stamped FBI Evidence Unit. They keep calling you Mr. Price now. The name feels like someone else's skin. A woman in a dark suit approaches. Special Agent Tara Mendez, badge clipped neatly to her belt. Her tone is brisk but not cold. We've confirmed your identity through blood and dental records. You are Alexander Price, presumed deceased since 2015. You've been living under a falsified correctional file created by Dr. Leonard Hardin. He's in custody. You study her eyes, steady but curious. What about the nurse? Mendez hesitates. Marla Jenkins was found in the East Wing, wounded. She's in stable condition. We'll need her testimony. You exhale, shaky but relieved. She saved my life, twice. Mendez nods, flipping through her tablet. And your brother? Michael Price. We're arranging a formal meeting. He's requested it. Requested? You repeat. After 10 years? She looks away. He claims he thought you were dead. He says this is all a misunderstanding. You let out a dry laugh. Misunderstanding's an interesting word for attempted murder. The agent doesn't argue. You'll have your chance to ask him yourself. He's waiting at the Price Foundation headquarters in Chicago. We move in 1 hour. The jet hums steadily, slicing through clouds. Outside, the sky burns orange with sunset, the kind of view reserved for people with names that open doors. You watch your reflection in the window. The scars from the crash still ghost your temple. The eyes are harder now, older. Agent Mendez sits across from you reviewing files. Every so often she glances up, like she's not sure if she's escorting a survivor or a weapon. You remember anything from the night of the crash? She asks finally. You think back, the screech of tires, the heat, the explosion of glass, a smell, gasoline and rain, and a woman's voice yelling, "He's still alive!" Before everything went black. You nod slowly. I remember enough. The headquarters looks like a temple of glass and arrogance. Price Foundation, innovating the human future, the sign boasts. As you step inside, the employees fall silent, like ghosts seeing one of their own walk out of the grave. Michael Price waits in the boardroom. The resemblance hits harder than you expect. Same angular jaw, same dark hair, but colder eyes. The kind that learned to smile for cameras, not people. He stands when he sees you, voice smooth as ever. Alec, my God, you're alive. You stay silent. He opens his arms like a televangelist. If I'd known, I would have finished the job. You cut in, The words slice the room open. Agent Mendez sits in the corner recording. Two corporate lawyers hover near the glass wall, pretending this isn't history being rewritten. Michael lowers his arms, forcing a chuckle. Always dramatic, little brother. You think I'd risk everything we built? We? You repeat, stepping closer. You built an empire on my name, on our family's research. The neural cell patent Dad died protecting? You sold it to foreign investors. He shrugs, that politician's smirk creeping in. I expanded the vision. You were gone. Someone had to keep the legacy alive. You reach into your pocket and toss the vial of blood onto the table. It clinks against the glass. You mean this legacy? Mendez leans forward. Mr. Price, that vial matches the unregistered genetic trial your company funded off books. Care to explain why your brother's DNA was used without consent? Michael's mask falters. Just a flicker, but enough. You don't understand the stakes, he snaps. That research was saving lives. By locking one in a cell, you shoot back. By paying a doctor to bury me under a number? For a moment, the facade drops completely. His voice lowers, rough, venomous. You should have stayed dead, Alex. You were always too emotional for this business. Too righteous. The silence after that feels like gravity, thick and absolute. Then, click. Mendez's hand moves fast, placing a small recorder on the table. Thank you for confirming that statement, Mr. Price. We've been live since you walked in. Michael's face drains of color. Wait! You can't! Oh, we can, Mendez interrupts. You just confessed to conspiracy, medical fraud, and obstruction of justice. Security bursts in as Michael slams his fist on the table, shouting, "This company was mine!" You step closer, voice steady. It was never yours. You just inherited the lies. He lunges toward you, restrained instantly by agents. You stare at him, not with hatred, but something worse. Pity. Dad used to say the difference between science and greed was which one you prayed to. You whisper. You chose wrong. Mendez nods to her team. Take him. As they lead him out, Michael twists once more, shouting, You think this ends here, Alex? You're still a prisoner, just in a bigger cage. You watch him disappear down the corridor, flanked by agents. For the first time in 10 years, the silence that follows doesn't sound like isolation. It sounds like release. Mendez turns to you. You're free to go, Mr. Price. You look at the glass walls, the empire your family built and broke. No, you murmur. Not yet, because freedom isn't walking out. It's walking back to those still trapped where you once were, and tomorrow that's exactly where you're going. Morning drips through the Chicago skyline like gold over glass. Too bright, too clean, almost offensive after everything that happened. You stand outside the Price Foundation building, wind tugging at your hoodie, watching the reflection of a man you barely recognize, not Inmate 42721, not Alexander Price. Just a survivor standing at the intersection of what was stolen and what's left to build. You take a deep breath. Across the street, the media vans swarm like flies. Every major network in the country has descended, anchors clutching microphones, hoping for a quote from the billionaire's lost son. You stay silent. You're not here to feed headlines. You're here to end them. Inside, the FBI has turned the Price Foundation into a crime scene. Yellow tape, evidence bags, and murmured orders fill the glass corridors. Agents move with purpose, cataloging a decade of deceit. Agent Mendez meets you near the elevator holding a small black box. Recovered this from Hardin's office, she says. Encrypted files tied to your name. You open the lid. Inside lies a stack of data chips, identical to the ones you found in the infirmary, each labeled with a date and a patient code. Project Rebirth, you read aloud. Unregistered human trial program, Mendez explains. Neural cell testing on inmates. Funded through your company's off-ledger accounts. Your brother authorized it? You stare at the files, each one a ghost, each one a story that never made it out. How many people? You ask quietly. 52, she says. You were number 1. You close the box. Then it's not just about me anymore. Hours later, you walk into the press room. Reporters rise like a wave, cameras flashing, voices shouting your name. Mr. Price, were you really imprisoned under a false identity? Do you plan to sue your brother's company? Are you taking over the foundation? You raise a hand. The noise dies. Your voice is calm but steady enough to shake the room. I spent 10 years in a place built to erase people. Men like me, poor, forgotten, or just inconvenient. The walls don't just keep you in. They keep the world from seeing what's done in the dark. The crowd leans in. I was a number. I was an experiment. But I wasn't the only one. This company, my family's company, profited from human lives. And that ends today. You slide a folder onto the podium. Inside, the Project Rebirth files. These are the names of every inmate used for unauthorized testing. Every one of them deserves to be heard. Cameras flash like lightning. I'm not here to reclaim my inheritance, you continue. I'm here to return what was stolen, truth, dignity, and a chance to start again. For a moment, no one speaks. Then a young reporter, no older than you were when the crash happened, asks, "What will you do now, Mr. Price?" You smile faintly. You can call me Caleb. And I'm going back to where I learned the difference between surviving and living. Cut to Ironwood State Penitentiary, 2 months later. The gates creak open. You step through, this time wearing a suit instead of shackles. Guards nod respectfully. One whispers, "That's him, the one who made D-Block a headline." You head to the gym, the same one where Finch used to taunt you, where the lights flickered and dreams went to die. But now the space is filled with something new, the Price Justice Initiative. A banner hangs above the boxing ring. Second chances start here. Dozens of inmates watch as you speak. Cameras rolling. I once stood where you stand, not believing the world would ever see me. But it did. And now it'll see you too. You are not your record. You are not your worst day. You are proof that truth survives, even when people don't want it to. A murmur ripples through the crowd. At the back of the room, a familiar face watches. Marla, a cast on her arm, but alive. She smiles, faint and proud. After the ceremony, you find her by the door. "Didn't think you'd make it," you say. She smirks. "You've got a talent for near-death experiences." Guess it's hereditary. You both laugh, the kind that releases years of tension. Then quieter. "You saved me twice. I owe you," she shakes her head. "Just promise me one thing. Don't waste what you found." "I won't." You hand her an envelope, the same one you once found in Hardin's drawer, now sealed again. "What's this?" she asks. "The grant. For medical ethics research. It's in your name." Her eyes glisten. "You serious?" You nod. "You deserve to heal people the right way." As she leaves, you look up at the night sky over the prison yard. The lights hum softly, but the silence feels different now. Not suffocating, but sacred. You whisper to yourself, almost a prayer. They buried a number, but they unearthed a name. A gust of wind moves through the yard, carrying echoes of laughter, keys, and footsteps. The sound of freedom earned, not given. And as the camera pulls back, the prison fades into the city skyline, a bridge between two worlds finally connected by truth. Justice isn't always a gavel or a verdict. Sometimes it's a whisper that grows into a roar. A quiet nurse defies her orders. A prisoner remembers who he is. A system built on silence cracks, not all at once, but loud enough for the world to hear. People still argue whether Alexander Price's story was divine fate or human resilience. Maybe both, but what everyone agrees on is this. He didn't come back for revenge. He came back for restoration. The Price Foundation now funds rehabilitation programs across the country. Inmates call him the ghost who opened the gate. Marla's new clinic bears a plaque that reads, "Healing begins with truth." And somewhere in the quiet hum of the city night, you can almost hear the echo of his father's voice. An engine don't care about your skin color, only your spark. The story ends not with a bang, but a heartbeat, steady, alive, and finally free. If this story reminded you that truth doesn't always scream, sometimes it survives in silence until the world's finally forced to listen. Then hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell for more true-inspired tales of power, prejudice, and poetic justice. Have you ever been dismissed, doubted, or overlooked, only to prove you were far more than what they expected? Share your moment in the comments below. Your story might be the next one we bring to light. And here's a little challenge for the detail detectives. At minute 7 to 18, when Marla walks out of the infirmary with the clipboard, there's a subtle clue that foreshadows everything. Look closely at what she writes before closing the door. That tiny gesture reveals she already knew something the warden didn't. Watch again, because in this prison, even mercy leaves fingerprints.